welcome, and thank you to Oakland. Thank you for joining us for Oakland Creates Exhibitor Spotlight. And today we have Nicky Rodriguez with us. Please give me your pronouns and your association with the Oakland, San Francisco Bay Area, please.
Yeah, my pronouns are she, her, and I am like connected to the Bay Area because I moved out there to attend California College of the Arts for undergrad and my MFA in comics. And while I was doing my MFA in comics, I kind of like discovered all the great zine fests that were going on around there. So that's basically what kicked off like me doing zine tours and things like that.
Sweet. So, speaking of that, so what actually inspires you to make zines or make art? Like, do you have a particular subject you like, a muse, or do you work from dreams? Like, how do you work? What's your inspiration?
I feel like a bulk of my inspiration has always come from just kind of like exploring my heritage, like being Puerto Rican, but a part of the diaspora. And like it was initially just trying to find a connection when I kind of realized how disconnected I was in terms of like, I don't know a lot about my history and like kind of like the things that are happening in the current day and age. But like as I've gotten more connected, it's also just been me like exploring like more kind of aesthetic attributes to like being Caribbean and things like that. So like a lot of my work is like super colorful and saturated, looking at things like the carnival celebration, but also talking on subject matter of like the femicides, and then also just like what is happening with the status of being a colony. So trying to explore those, even if they're in like tiny little snippets, but like I'm trying to expand on those ideas and like kind of collect them all into a longer narrative.
Nice. So, do you have any particular artists that you gain inspiration from?
Um, God, there's so many. Like there are definitely some like traditional like Puerto Rican painters that like might not you might not like immediately think that are like influencing my work, but just like how they use color. Like I wish I could remember all their names right now. I'm terrible. But like seeing their work and like the texture they put into their brushstrokes, like that's always stuff that I'm looking at that really like inspires me when I think about the shapes I want to use.
Nice.
Um, and then also like what really got me into drawing was like anime, like from the very beginning. So I was like always reading manga from the library when I was a kid. So like artists like Rumiko Takahashi, she was like my biggest influence like
Cool.
starting out. And then as I've gotten into the zine scene, a lot of my friends basically have inspired me because it allowed me to see like what power there is in personal narrative, and that that's like a thing you could talk about and create artwork about. So people like Brina and Lawrence and Gaia, a lot of people I like had classes with in the MFA program, like they really helped me kind of understand what messages I was trying to tell.
Nice.
So every time I see their work, I'm like always inspired.
Cool. And do you feel what kind of percentage or what importance do you place on being a part of the zine community? Is it something that you thought that you would become a part of, or I talked a little bit with Lawrence and Brina about just how strong the community in the Bay Area is. Is that something that sort of we thought about before you started making zines, or how much did that play a part into doing zines and comics and cartoons and stuff?
It wasn't something I immediately thought about because I think whenever I like first started going to Zine Fest and stuff, I really just saw it as an opportunity to like just see all this great work happening around me that somehow I'd been like ignorant to for like 5 years. And it was like really great. And I'm just like, I'm like so inspired. I'm like seeing so much great stuff and meeting great people.
Nice.
And like when I decided I wanted to be a part of it, it was really just me trying to figure out like it seemed like a space where I could have the freedom to create and tell stories that I
Right.
didn't have when I was like studying animation in undergrad and things like that, or like figuring out if I even wanted to like work in the animation industry. So I was originally just looking for like a place to kind of just like be myself as an artist.
Okay.
And then once I kind of like figured out how zine fests go and like how to just kind of like market myself as an artist in a way I'd never done before, I was really able to like just hang out with great people. And it's just
Right.
nice being a part of like one, a community that's so strong like that, but also being able to like move around to different communities and see what's out there.
Right. Right. And just to have a couple more sillier questions, like I said, so this one is: if you could only eat three foods for the rest of your life, what three foods would they be?
Okay, so one of them is definitely gonna be tostones, which is like fried plantains. Like I could
Okay.
live off that for my whole life. It would be great. Um, Another one is hmm, so in Puerto Rico, they like make conch, like the thing that lives inside the conch shell.
Okay, the
It's like,
snail.
I don't know, a snail or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like they make like a little seafood salad with that and shrimp. And like every
Ooh.
time I visit my grandma, like we'll make it. So I'll eat that. Like
Okay.
fuck my cholesterol. I'll just eat that the whole time. And then oh, what's the third one? I feel like
That's
there's so many choices.
that's probably a good source of protein too, even though yeah, cholesterol.
Yeah, exactly. um I guess it would be tres leches, which is like a holiday cake you eat in Puerto Rico,
Oh
but in
my
other Latin American
god,
countries.
that's
Like I used to
so
hate it as
good.
a kid
Did
because I
you?
was like, "Ooh, this shit is soggy," but now I really like it and miss it.
Oh,
So I
it's
was like,
so
"Man, I should make
good.
some."
Have you had the ice cream with the little pieces in it?
No, oh man, that sounds amazing.
It is so okay. Let me stop. I'm gonna go get go get some. Make us so funny. So the next question is: if you were on a deserted island and you could only have three people with you, what three people would you bring?
Hmm,
Everyone seems to be stumped by it. I
interesting.
don't know.
I mean, I feel like I would definitely bring my roommate because we've like lived together multiple times since we like started living together in the Bay. And out of all the people I lived with, I know I could like survive with her on a deserted island. There's like
Nice.
I've had like so many roommates in the Bay, man. Um, I love them, but I won't bring any of my family because I feel like
Oh.
that's just like a recipe for disaster.
Well, hey, I'm
Like
feeling the
you
same
just get
way.
on everyone's nerves.
Right.
Um, and then I would probably bring one of my other roommates that I lived with in Oakland, Leona. I don't know. I feel like we could both figure out how to survive on there. I feel like we could be crafty.
There you go.
And then one of my old coworkers from my old job when I was teaching at the JCC, uh, I
Okay.
just feel like he would just make things very lively and
Awesome.
entertaining.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, and shout out your social media or your website so people can find your work online.
Oh yeah, so on Instagram, I'm just Art of Nicky Rodriguez, and then my website's artofnickyrodriguez.com. I actually just opened up a new storefront on Big Cartel, so just shop.artofnickyrodriguez.com. And that's where you can find all my updates about what I'm working on and just any new work that I go ahead and put up for sale, as well as any of these virtual zine fests that are going on.
Sweet. Awesome. Thank you so much. And so I'm going to stop recording now.